I can tell you in less than 10 seconds whether your business is making money. And I'm not talking about using your P&L, your accountant, or your QuickBooks. I only need two numbers. I look at your bank statement and I want to look at the beginning balance versus the ending balance. Let me show you how you can start figuring out what your big number is to start figuring out how you make money every week. So here I have it. Here is two bank statements. They're fake. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're fake bank statements, but this is based off of actual bank statements that made off ChatGPT. But I want you to be able to see in your account summary, somewhere on your bank statement, it's gonna show the starting balance and the ending balance. And on this bank statement, they started balance back in June of $24,560, and they ended the month with 31,000. So now you know you're roughly have $6,765 more money in the bank. Well, not roughly, you do have that much more. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have deposits and all that stuff, but you do know for a fact that you're healthier than you thought if their bank account's going up. Now, come over here. If you started with 24,560 and you ended with 13,000, you lost 11,400 bucks, right? Well, if this is a continuing thing, well, that's why we go to help you start knowing this beginning number from your last 12 bank statements. Start figuring out which month is it that you need a certain number to hit so that you're profitable. Now, this isn't normal accounting, and this is not the same thing you would do for an actual profit and loss. However, when you start knowing your cash, you start knowing your profits. And when you start tracking it and having a goal every week. So for instance, this month, this is a smaller business. So let's just say 24,000 is all you did in the month. Well, for each week, for a goal, you would take the $24,560 divided by 4. So each week you need to be bringing in at least $6,140 to profit. Now that's getting this kind of cash. So your break even would just be literally whatever your break even is. So taking this is making $6,700. So if you want to continually make $6,700 and your bills roughly stay the same, well, then you just shoot for a goal of $6,140 a month. Do you follow me? Over here, you got, right here. If you lost $11,000, so you would add $11,000, or this is your break-even point right here, starting balance, and you lost this much money, 11,427. Well, you got to take the 11 and the 23, which is roughly 24, and divide it, and now you need to do $6,000 a month. That way you're breaking even. This is the simplest way to do it. So we're going to take that bank statement we used to where they made $6,765. So if you remember the numbers, it was 24,560 was their starting. And then their ending was 31,325. Okay. And we know that's a 65 or 67, 65, 18 plus. So they did that. So, right? So we know this. So now, obviously, if we take the 24 minus the 67, that was their break even for the cash flow. So I'm going to say this: if you want to just do your break even number to know where you are, and this is a month that's similar to what you're adding this kind of money, you would just take and subtract 67 from there. So I'm just going to go subtract the 67, 65, 18, and then it's going to equals whatever that equals, and I'm just going to say it equals 18,000. So we're going to say the 18K. So 18K. So now for each week, this is for the month, right? So for each week to find my break-even number, I just take 18K and divide it by 4. So I take 18K divided by 4. It's 4,500. So that's the minimum amount you need to deposit each week to break even cash flow wise, other factors. Well, if we start looking at it like this from the bank, and if we want to make this much, then we take 24.5. Let's just go 24K divided by 4. That's 6K. So if you want to make $6,000, you try to do $6,000 a week. This is a week. And then there's your goal. Make sure you do that amount of production, not sales. This is production. And hopefully you collect this month, this, and that would make the bank account, get these numbers. So, that's how you start figuring out the beginning of how to start knowing your numbers.